Hello, and welcome to the Divorced Dadvocate, divorce support for dads, where we help dads create a healthy and less traumatic divorce. My name is Jude Sandoval, and I'm your host. I created this podcast in the Divorced Advocate community as a result of my own high conflict divorce, and because you as a dad deserve all the resources necessary to thrive through this challenging time. I encourage you to check out our website at thedivorcedadvocate.com, where there are resources that correspond to this episode, as well as free access to our membership community, where you will find live meetings, free workshops and courses, private discussion groups, and more. And now, on to this week's episode. Hello, and welcome to the show. I am sincerely appreciative of you being here. I know that if you are listening to this today, that you are either contemplating going through or just post-divorce, and the difficulties and challenges that go along with that are immense. It's the reason that I started the Divorce Advocate about 3 years ago, because of my own high conflict divorce and the challenges that stem from that. So I know that you are in need of some information. I know that you may be in an immense amount of difficulty and pain, and so I just want to recognize that in you, and the fact that you are connecting with a way in which to deal with that. On that note, the Divorce Advocate website is up as always, and there are some great resources and tools for you to check out there. We only have one slow week. We only have one new member this week, John, and I want to just thank you, John, for not giving us a bagel this week. But if you're interested in joining the community, it is at thedivorcedadvocate.com. There are great resources like the divorce quiz under the divorce quiz tab that will give you a great idea of where you are at in your divorce compared to others who have gone through a divorce. As well as the membership site that has the full versions of all of these podcast episodes, as well as all of the blogs and some other unique things that are only available to members of the Divorce Advocate community. Our topic today that has been on my heart is around masculine development, and I'm titling it Becoming a Real Man Through Divorce. I recognize that the quote unquote real man moniker is a difficult and challenging one, particularly in our modern day society. It is fraught with all kinds of misconceptions and misunderstandings and lots of shame as well. So I put it in there for a reason, for people to perk up and pay attention. But my goal today is to talk about how, as we are experiencing this difficult and challenging time of divorce, that we can develop our masculinity in an improved manner. So that is the goal. It's not to shame anybody. It's not to talk down to you. It's a call to action. And you hear me oftentimes, if you've listened to more than one episode, that divorce can be an opportunity. I do again recognize that is incredibly difficult and hard to realize and understand while you may be going through this, and the chaos and the difficulty and the uncertainty and the pain and the challenges of it. But through all of that, I promise you that there is opportunity for something better, a better life, being a better person, etc. And so on that note, let's talk about becoming a real man through divorce. So that just that title begs the question, what does a real man look like? And the other question is, who should be our model for real, healthy manhood in this time and age, the 21st century, if you will? If you look at society, or you read the newspaper, or watch the news, or you talk to anybody, you just go anywhere outside of your house, that is very, very confusing and difficult and very interesting questions. Those are interesting questions that are being very confused as far as I'm concerned. So let's consider 5 essential lessons about how we develop our true masculinity, and how we are able to do that through our divorce. The first one is real men prepare themselves. Now, you can look at this in a couple of different ways. And ideally, if you had a strong masculine role model and example, and hopefully mentor in your childhood or early adult life, they were somebody that was able to help you to develop what it is to be quote unquote real man, or let's just say your masculinity. But if you were like me and you did not have a strong masculine role model, this was very hard. You probably entered your adult life without the tools necessary to, let's say, instead of just surviving, thriving in adult life in your masculinity. So ideally, if and this is a good thing to think of also in the context of what you're able to do now going forward for your children through this difficult and challenging time of divorce, is being able to prepare them, especially the young boys, if you have young boys that are your kiddos, that by showing the example and showing them through modeling what it's like to get through this challenging time, preparing yourself and moving forward, then you're going to help them to prepare themselves in their adult life. So I would say take your education, take your preparation very, very seriously. And also the flip side, not even the flip side, the next part of that is take it seriously for your children, the education and preparation for adulthood. Don't waste time, period. Don't waste time, whether you're a young man listening to this or you're an old guy like me listening to this. Do not waste your time. Do not waste your time in all of these distractions, video games, movie watching, going to bars, whatever it is. None of that in and of itself is bad. Some of it in moderation and little bits is good, but wasting your time instead of taking the time to prepare yourself is detrimental. So, be focused on your future in the preparation needed to achieve your goals. This is a time right now with the deconstruction of your life, if you will, through divorce. You don't know what it's going to look like in the future. There is chaos and there is uncertainty, which is very, very difficult and challenging for men. So what you can start to do right now is prepare yourself for what that future is going to look. Even though you don't know what it is that it's going to look like, you can start to prepare yourself now for the life that you want to have going forward. Now, it's a great idea to work with a therapist around this, an even better idea to work with a coach around this. There are so many variables and moving parts around the divorce that having somebody that has a macro perspective around this that can help you to make sense of what's going on with the legal system, what's going on with family, and what's going on with yourself and your masculinity is incredibly, incredibly helpful. It can help you take all of those different areas, coalesce them, and move them in the direction that's going to help you to thrive in the future. So take your preparation, prepare yourself, take that seriously. Do not waste the time. The first thing you can do is start with cutting out any of these distractions that I described, whether that might be drinking, whether that might be drug use, whether that might be whatever it might be. Just find one and work on one and eliminate that from your life. It might be it just might be moving forward by the process of elimination. So think about that, consider that, and work towards that end. Okay, number 2 is real men work. So, the example for men today is to develop a strong work ethic. I do not feel that this is something that is emphasized or is something that has been really instilled in our generations, in the younger generations happening right now. In the generations that are growing up right now, I see it with my daughters and my daughters' friends. I do see it in other young men that I work with, whether it's through coaching through divorce or in the church or in any other kind of men's work that I do. But real men don't linger in a childhood mentality. They're not focused on entertainment, inactivity, laziness. They grow up and they work. They support themselves. If they don't have families yet, eventually they support their families, and they have a drive to be productive. Let's talk about that drive to be productive. That is a masculine trait. That is good. We're going to talk about a little bit at the end here about masculinity and the misconceptions and the confusion between masculinity and toxic masculinity. But a drive to be productive is inherent to the masculine nature. You are born with it. It is okay. It is good. It is positive, and embrace it. Now, that doesn't mean that it can't become to the extreme where a workaholic is just, again, one of those distractions like video games or alcohol or something else that is distracting from being present and doing what you need to do and caring for the responsibilities that you have. But the innate drive to be productive as a man is a masculine trait that is to be embraced, and that is definitely positive. So do not be afraid to work. If you have not developed that or you have not tapped into that innate part of you, start cultivating it. Start learning how to do it. It is easier to go the other direction. We see it all over our society right now. People not working, people refusing to work, people only working under certain terms, et cetera, et cetera. Work is good. It's going to set a good example for your children. Also, them seeing you be productive and a contributing member of society. It is hugely important. It's almost embarrassing to me, at least. It's almost embarrassing to me that I would have to say this and talk about this, because I feel like this is just something that is, but it is not something that is being talked about a lot, and it's definitely not being talked about and taught to our young men. Hence, you might get to our age, my age, whatever age you are, and it becomes a difficulty. So we're battling not only this, we're battling society. We're battling society that does not necessarily have this mindset. And if there's a trait that is masculine, that is to be productive and to be achieving, then oftentimes we're also getting the negative connotation that that's bad. I'm telling you, it's not. Cultivate it in a healthy manner, and it is a positive for you and your family.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hey, this is Jude with a quick reminder about the Divorced Advocate Foundation for Fathers, which is our nonprofit that helps dads through divorce with legal education, free or reduced cost coaching, and mental health resources. If you own a business or know someone who does, there's an easy way to help by connecting credit card processing through our partner program. Part of the fees go straight to the foundation with no added cost to the business, and 98% of businesses are actually able to save money on their processing fees. It's a win-win. So if you know a business that accepts credit cards, get them in touch with me by sending a warm introduction email to jude@thedivorcedadvocate.com or give me a call directly at 720-255-1021. Okay, number 3, real men respect women. We respect all women, and they treat them with honor. So, our society is just absolutely, positively inundated with music and movies and advertising and pornography that objectify women and sexualize them and create and view them as sexual objects. Look, I've been guilty of it, and I work really hard to change my mindset around it. and shield myself from much of it, as well as my daughters from much of it. But it takes a conscientious effort to not use derogatory words for women that are common in music and in the movies, and sexual, and not exposing your children or yourself to these movies and to these forms of entertainment, to not be participating in guy talk or locker room talk that is degrading and demeaning to women. If you are a real man, you have nothing to do with this. Instead, you're treating all women with dignity, honor, and respect. And let me just say that includes your ex or your soon-to-be ex. As hard as that may be, as egregious as their behavior may have been or continues to be, treating them with respect is paramount. That means not bad-mouthing them to your kids. That means not bad-mouthing them to others. That means if you just need to not say anything, that is a form of respect also, because you're not being derogatory and you're being respectful by not saying anything. Now, let me just say that this does not mean that you don't have to point out bad or egregious behavior to your kids or have discussions around that if your ex is behaving poorly. That is okay. When you're talking about behaviors are different than being disrespectful of the person that they are. They are two separate things. So if you feel like, well, I can't say anything about my ex, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is be respectful of women, including your ex, all the time. It also doesn't mean that we don't point out egregious and poor behavior of women that we may see or that are around us. That is okay as well. Being derogatory to them, making derogatory statements about them, etc., sexualizing them, that is not being respectful. Being respectful is understanding that there is a person behind the behavior and that you can separate those. You can speak on the behavior, but you do not have to be disrespectful and unkind about the person. So that's number 3. Real men respect women all the time, including your exes or soon-to-be exes. Number 4, and if you're listening to this, I already know this to be true of you because you have kiddos, and that is real men love kids. But I want to be really clear about how you're loving your kids here. And the example is to not ignore your children. And again, if you're listening to this, I'm guessing, and all the men that are part of this community, the majority of the men that are part of this community are part of this community because they care about being better men and better fathers. So that's why it's the Divorced Advocate. That's why we gear to dads and giving you the support that you need to be the best dad that you can be to your kiddos. That's why we lift you up. That's why we continue to tell you your importance in your children's lives, is because there is no better indicator for success for children in their adult lives than whether or not they had a father that was present and active in their lives. So the number one thing that you can do for your children is to be present and active in their lives. And let's talk about that, because not just not to ignore them, but also to pay attention to them and protect them. So you might say, this outdated mindset of, hey, I'm a great provider and I provide and I go to work and I make a lot of money, Okay, yeah, that is great. And that has been just a base necessity, and that's been just the structure of our society for so long. We have evolved and we have raised ourselves to a different level of consciousness where that is absolutely necessary, but it is also necessary for us to be giving our time and our attention to our children as well. There is a necessity beyond just the survival needs of providing for them that children need. And we have evolved to that point where we know that, where the impact that you can have can be exponential by paying attention to them, by giving that time and attention to them. The other part of it is protecting them. Again, another masculine trait that should be embraced, that is innate to you if you're listening to this and you're born a man, is protecting children and women is absolutely part of our DNA and our nature. And we have to continue to protect our children all of the time. So paying attention to them, giving our time and attention, and protecting is paramount and absolutely critical to loving your children. And so I can't go and I can't make this point without giving a warning to you during this vulnerable time that you're experiencing. And that is that there is a contingent of men that are out there that may have had either bad experiences with women or have had marriages that have failed or multiple marriages that have failed or just relationships that have been challenging and have created this mindset and philosophy around the fact that men do not need women. Men should be going their own way. You should be living the free agent lifestyle. So these are all kind of subsections, subcomponents, whatever you want to call it, of this quote unquote red pill mentality. Red pill coming from the movie The Matrix, where you're exposed to the truth of what's going on. But as you can tell, the truth can be always distorted into something that is much more extreme than just being exposed to the truth of maybe human nature or relational dynamics or something like that. So let me be clear. Real men don't just use women for sex, impregnate them, abandon them. They choose to be respectful to women, find women to be in relation with, and to grow and understand their masculinity, as well as your partner's femininity in the context of a relationship. I know right now many of you are saying, I have nothing to do with that, Jude. I don't even want to hear that. This has been a complete catastrophe and it's so difficult and painful. I completely understand that. I just want you to be aware, in this time of vulnerability, do not fall victim to some of this mentality of MGTOW, men going their own way, or the free agent lifestyle, or some of this other stuff that's out there telling you extreme ways in which to relate with women going forward. So just be aware, it's not healthy. And if you fall victim to it, just, I don't know, find somebody to talk to, call me, or talk to your therapist, or talk to somebody that can help you give a healthy perspective on this, because I see it all over the place. I feel like it's driving a wedge into relationships between men and women, and it's more detrimental than it is positive and healthy in us moving forward. We need to be in relation with each other. How we are designed as humans, and we need to be in relation with women. That is just how we are designed to be functioning in this human in this human experience that we're having. Okay, enough rant, enough public service announcement, warning around that for the red pill mentality. Okay, the last one we're going to talk about is real men control themselves. Number 5, real men control themselves. And this goes back a little bit to the what we're talking about in the beginning, which was number 1, about preparing yourselves. You should not be driven by your urges, what feels good or what is convenient. We need men who govern themselves by a strong moral code. This is absolutely essential for us to be able to move forward. If we did not have very strong masculine examples or mentors as we grew up, then we didn't have people that showed and taught us how to control ourselves around whatever that might be, how we conduct ourselves with women, how we conduct ourselves with alcohol, how we conduct ourselves in our work, how we conduct ourselves anywhere in our society. So and this again is one of the challenges that we are seeing with the okay, sorry about that. Quick, just brief introduction. My hunting partner stopped by. We're getting ready to plan our hunting trip coming up here in a couple of months. So just important stuff going on here at the Sandoval household. But let's continue talking about this needing to control ourselves. I recorded a podcast a couple of weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago. If you don't understand or never had an example around this, the Stoic philosophy is a really, really great one to start to immerse yourself in, to learn and understand how to do that. It is just an entire mindset around finding the ways in which you can conduct yourselves in moderation and have some specific traits around how you live your life. So the Stoic philosophy would be a really, really good one to dive into if you're needing to learn how to control your life, whether it's addictions to video games or alcohol or sex, or maybe just overdoing something, or maybe it's what we talked about earlier, which is you can't motivate yourself enough to be going out and doing the work that you need to be doing. So jump into that, listen to that episode, get involved, or also give me a call. Okay. So if you understand what I've been saying with these 5 different ways in which you can find how to be a real man through divorce, it really comes down to modeling your lives after a correct and balanced type of masculinity. So on that note, I do have to, it's impossible to fully cover this subject without addressing a new term that has entered our lexicon, which is toxic masculinity. And now this term is used that describes an extreme form of masculinity that finds outlets in harmful ways. These include extreme aggression towards others, gaining unhealthy power and status at the expense of others, never showing any weaknesses, and abusing or mistreating women. So, and we're hearing this term thrown around all over the place, and it's even being used to of toxic masculinity to attack masculinity in general and advocate pushing men in the extreme opposite direction to become more feminine, or advocate blending the genders in various ways. But much of society today defines as definitions of toxic masculinity has nothing to do with how men should live and behave in ways that are different from those of women. And so these harmful traits called toxic masculinity all represent what's described maybe biblically as sin, or just in a secular way is an unhealthy lifestyle and mentality. So, but the real problem is not the masculinity in and of itself. It is the nature of how we are showing up in our masculinity. So in biblical terms, that shows up as sin, but in secular ways, it's in our unhealthy lifestyle and our mentality. So how do we overcome this, and how do we overcome this just blanket toxic masculinity mindset or scribe that's been out there? It's simple. These 5 ways that I just described to you are a start. You apply and live by these standards. Now, this again is just the tip of the iceberg. It goes much more deeper than that. So I encourage you to be working with a therapist, working with a coach. Some other things that I highly, highly suggest is that you surround yourself with other good men, that you seek mentorship with other good men, and you develop and you perform, and that you hold yourself and others accountable as well. That will be really key. All right. Those are my 5 tips for becoming a real man through divorce. I hope that you found some value in this today. If you did, please share it far and wide. on social media. Leave us a comment in the comment section. That helps immensely to get more people showing up and listening to the podcast. Leave us a star rating and share this with anybody else that you know that is contemplating going through or has just experienced divorce. Thank you so much for listening today. I will talk to you next week, and God bless. To hear the rest of this episode and access the corresponding resources, visit thedivorcedadvocate.com and become a member of our community. It's free to join and will provide you with the resources you deserve as a divorced or divorcing dad. Thank you for listening. God bless, and I'll talk with you next week.